Good unspecified space-time continuum, and we're coming from you live after our time skip to our terrible sequel in this week's episode of Deep Space and Dragons. I'm Richard, the beautiful and all-powerful.
And I am Karl, the sequel to my parents, which is kind of strange.
Interesting flex. And on this week's episode, we're going to finally dive into Boruto. I've tried to deflect it, like straight up D&D monk catching missiles out of the air, deflecting it, but I've been trapped in the Boruto conversation. But before I get trapped in the infinite Boruto Omi, what's new in the world of Karl?
I've been dating my girlfriend for about 3 months now. And usually we do like a date day on Mondays because we both usually have the day off, so then we can like go and hang out all day. But unfortunately, I work this coming Monday, so instead we went to the Ramai Modern Art Gallery in Saskatoon here today, as of the day of recording.
Oh.
Which is modern art is very interesting. And also they have a surprising amount of Picasso.
So, modern art. I am an art expert, of course, but to our unaware viewers, paint us a picture, because you get words to do this. Describe a modern art to us.
So, rightly so, there is a push for like indigenous culture and art that reflects the healing process, and not necessarily like there was a blurb on the wall where it's like art doesn't heal, but it is often part of the healing process. But so then there was a lot of pictures of this native guy. He calls himself the Buffalo Kid, and he just like wears weird outfits with fishnet stockings. Like I have one picture, he's just like mooning the camera for some reason. And it's like, art is art.
Art is art. Very well then.
But then there was a Picasso gallery, which was had less Picasso in it than the first gallery that we went into, and it was more just like naked people. There's just naked people everywhere.
Huh.
Like statues of naked people.
That is artwork.
Like, okay.
I do believe it was in Futurama where they're discussing whether something was erotica or pornography, and Bender's very clear that they should just give a financial endowment to pornography.
But yeah, so that was the first time I ever been to the art gallery, and it's no Royal Ontario Museum, but it was a interesting foray into the art world.
Oh, excellent. Hashtag cultured.
Well, I've been to the ROM. Unfortunately, we weren't actually didn't have tickets to go to the Winnie the Pooh exhibit when it was there, but like that is a really big museum, and then it also has like the dinosaurs and stuff. Where this one is just there's several smaller art galleries and no dinosaurs, so it's.
Yeah, it's true. The number of dinosaurs per square foot does directly determine something's entertainment value.
Like Jurassic World. Actually, that's something else that's new. I saw the new Jurassic World movie.
I have not.
It's not really about dinosaurs.
Yeah, I heard it's based on Ryan George explaining the plot of the movie to me. It's more about bugs and blood samples and a Taken movie.
That is definitely far more accurate. But the first Jurassic World was literally just Jurassic Park retold, and the second Jurassic World was Jurassic Park 2 but retold, and then the third Jurassic World, thankfully, was not the third Jurassic Park retold, because the third Jurassic Park was just awful. I don't know why they made the third.
To follow
Jurassic
up on
Park
that,
movie.
at the board game night I went to Olive a couple days ago, one of the board games that came out was this co-op competitive Jurassic Park board game. And one player got to play dinosaurs who needed to kill enough Jurassic Park characters. And then the Jurassic Park characters had to achieve their objectives and leave the island before being killed by dinosaurs. I'm not going to lie, playing the dinosaurs in that game, for me as a human, is deeply satisfying. Because, in truth, we all just want to play dinosaurs.
Well, I guess actually something else that's relatively new. Have you ever heard of the card game The Crew?
I have not, but color me intrigued.
So There's two versions. The space version, which came out in 2019, and the deep sea version, which came out in 2021. So it's a relatively new game, but it's a cooperative trick playing game where like everybody goes around and plays one card. The person with the highest card takes the trick, but someone has a mission, and they have to complete the objective. And if they fail the objective, then everybody fails, and you have to do that round over.
Okay.
And so I'm like, it's just I've played a lot of trick taking kinds of games, but the cooperative aspect, it's actually pretty intriguing.
Oh yeah, we went through a fair selection of board games at Board Game Night. We had a round of Ultimate Werewolf, as everyone other than possibly our audience is familiar with. We had Uno Flip, which is Uno, but it's double-sided Uno with other Uno on the backs of the Uno cards and an Uno card that flips your Uno cards.
Huh.
That's all I'm going to explain about that.
All right.
We did a couple trivia games. We did Shadow Hunters, which is a fantastic game. What else did we do? Those are the big ones that come to mind. A big part of it was to socialize with human beings again, because it's been a while.
Right.
So that's what's new with me. Since you never asked, I was just going to tell you.
Well, no, I was going to get around to it. It was just like, oh yeah, there's actually quite a few things that have happened in this past week that are moderately interesting to you and perhaps to our listeners. I'm not sure.
I mean, our listeners secretly just want you to.
I
mean, our listeners do just want you to blow up in a dust explosion. They like you. You're iconic. You're the main character. They want you to survive the dust explosion, right?
Survive the dust explosion and then go through water therapy and drown in the pool?
And then, no, you keep surviving these things. They want everything I said to kill you to happen to you and you to not die. Like, the most way my claims can be defeated of all the ways you should die is for them to happen to you and you still not die.
Fair enough. Is there anything else new in the world of Richard this week, though?
Well, before the stream, I was mentioning to you that I did a massive LGBT tie-dyeing event at my school. A couple hundred people were there. I have a t-shirt that I know I'm going to screw up and accidentally dye the rest of my clothes with. It was a massive, successful event. And then it's like, oh, events are starting in person. Because my first year of schooling, events weren't an option. Well, my first 2 years. So now I'm like, ooh, there's events. And when there's events, there's free food. And when there's free food, I, the student, survive.
Well, I mean, last time there was a free food event, you forgot to bring your backpack and didn't load up on orange juice.
That was a crushing misplay. That will haunt me. So, that's what's new with me, other than, because it turns out writing a novel eats into my energy bandwidth a bit. So I had board game night, I had yoga class, and I had tie-dye t-shirt event. Those were what I had the bandwidth to do this week, other than write book. Also, in yoga class, I learned something. If I do a sideways plank, my weak human arms cannot support my fat human body. So it's like, this is a good warm-up stretch, and I'm like, trebling, like, So they look at me, and they're like, you're taking this really seriously. I'm impressed. I'm like, yeah, it's because I'm focused, not because it takes my entire willpower to do a plank. And it just uses 100% of my key control to lift my own weight. I got made fun of for being skinny my entire life, and now I have to work off a gut. This is just cosmically unfair. Like, if I was chubby the whole time, I'd be less bothered by this.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely good that you're getting more exercise in it, because, like, all things in moderation, but, like, the past 2 years, as you said, have been pretty tough to, like, stay active and get out and about, so... Like,
a big chunk of that is just crushed motivation. And speaking of crushed motivation, let's get into the topic of Boruto.
Ah, yeah, crushing indeed.
So I'm going to start with a truly horrifying piece of information. The Boruto anime, at the moment of this recording, has 256 episodes. So, the entire plot of every Star Wars movie, and Rebels, and Clone Wars, together runtime-wise, is shorter than Boruto. All of Star Wars, everything that's happened, over 3 generations of characters, is less screen time than what's happened in Boruto so far.
Well, okay, but I mean, like, how much of that is filler? Because they did this weird, like...
All of it!
like, shadow arc, right? Like...
They did so many weird shadow arcs. So Boruto doesn't catch up to the manga till over episode 100.
Oh, wow.
So they start with the Boruto movie, and then they don't actually catch up to the Boruto manga till... Trying to find the episode... 181. Like, episode... So they did 180 episodes of filler. Where nothing in it could actually happen because they still need all the characters where they needed to be for the manga to start.
Okay, that's pretty absurd. But the Boruto movie, that's just the one shot where they're exploring who Sasuke's daughter's mom.
Oh no, they did make that season. So there's like 4 episodes that was that story arc. 4 episodes about Orochimaru's kid, like the actual interesting stuff written by the original author.
Mm-hmm.
And then just garbage for days.
Garbage for days.
Like, to the audience members who aren't aware. Alongside Boruto, there is a better anime that starred Boruto's dad. But Boruto is the story of, you know what? I challenge you, my good friend. Describe Boruto without describing Naruto. Like the show Boruto, without talking about the show Naruto. Give us an episode synopsis for this.
Well... So... Boruto is the story of a super privileged, snotty brat kid who doesn't realize how good he has it until he realizes that his dad is the most powerful ninja in the world. And then suddenly he gets the motivation to learn how to be a ninja.
Hey, that's the exact plot of Justin Trudeau's campaign.
But then, instead of becoming a ninja, he becomes an alien.
Oh, the alien thing. But no, seriously, that is the plot of Justin Trudeau's campaign. Super privileged, successful son of the ninja emperor realizes one day that he's also super successful, and life is great. And you're like, why would I root for these characters? So, now to talk about the better show starring Boruto's dad. The whole driving force of Naruto is wimpy bullied kid with ADHD proves himself successful, and instead of everyone looking down on him, becomes a hero. You can get behind that thing. Anyone who's ever made fun of is probably an anime fan, therefore could relate at least in part with Naruto.
Right.
Because at any point you felt like you were the dumb kid in class, you can relate to Naruto. If you're always the smart kid in class, you unfortunately relate to Sasuke, which is not good. Don't relate to Sasuke. But Boruto, privileged kid in non-war tour country, whines because his daddy doesn't spend enough time to him, whose dad can literally be in 2 places at once. It's just like, wow. Why did you choose this as your protagonist? But, to get into the topic... Oh, go ahead.
So, okay, so this is something that we mentioned when we were talking about Berserk in our last podcast.
Ooh, I was going to make this pivot as well. But go ahead.
Where it starts out where it's like, okay, we got this like badass mercenary guy, and he's going around killing like 300 dudes in a night or whatever. And then they flash back to his entire life.
the most fleshed out flashback of all time.
In my opinion, I really wanted the modern day telling. I was on the wrong side of that flashback. And Boruto starts off with this like the village is destroyed, and he's talking about how he has the soul of a ninja.
And another character's like, the Age of Ninjas is dead.
But then they flash back, and it's like, why did they flash so far back to like before he was really a ninja, when he was just like a brat that I don't want to watch?
It's an interesting
like,
choice.
Why wouldn't they just let him be a ninja?
Well, what's kind of funny is, to give an exact comparison, at the end of Dragon Ball Z's original name was Gohan's Adventure. And he had confidence when he did this time skip that, okay, we're going to follow Goku's son. So they murdered Goku after 6 episodes.
Right.
They brought Goku back, and then exiled him to then broke all the bones in his body, then brought him back again and exiled him to an alien planet, then gave him cancer, then killed him again. So, Akira Toriyama was working really hard to keep getting Goku off the stage, showing enough of it for fans of the original to want to watch it, but killing him off enough to not be the main character.
Right.
Which is something you almost have to do if you're on the side of the time skip after following something successful. It's kind of like you can't just put Luke Skywalker in the new Star Wars movies without being annoyed of how he's portrayed.
Right, right.
As an example of when they did that. So Boruto, what's funny is it's doing well enough and enough people are watching it week by week that it has an episode count that could fit 5 runnings of Full Metal Alchemist.
Right.
Everything that happened in Full Metal Alchemist, the massive 100-character-wide interconnected story, fits in like a filler season of Boruto.
Huh. Yeah, these comparisons that you're making are actually kind of truly absurd because, like, the Full Metal Alchemist, more specifically, if you're talking about the anime, the Brotherhood, is like one of the golden standards of anime storytelling, because it has this clear, concise vision of what it is and what it wants to be and where it wants to go. But when you're putting in 180 episodes of filler, and then your source material doesn't seem to know what it is or where it wants to be or have a concise vision of what story it's trying to tell, I don't know why people are watching it.
Here's where it gets truly absurd. Something that'll hurt you a bit. Dragon Ball had 153 episodes. Dragon Ball Z had 291 episodes.
Ooh.
All of Dragon Ball, a show famous for the slowest pacing ever, fits into Boruto. Boruto has as many episodes right now, if we count the movie of Boruto, as all of Dragon Ball Z. So we can't do Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. But all of Dragon Ball Z fits into Boruto.
Well, okay. So we made some comparisons about how the pacing of the anime, at the very least, is apparently abysmal and full of filler.
Impressively abysmal.
To get more onto the point of what the elements that we dislike about Boruto, like I mentioned, the cyclical writing style where you start with the end and then you work your way back around to where you end. Personally, I didn't actually start reading Boruto till it got to about chapter 70, because that writing choice to me doesn't fit the medium of manga, because there's takes way too long to get that payoff for your cyclical writing style, and it just kind of annoyed me because, like I said, why can't he just
start where it's cool?
Why can't he just be the son of the most successful ninja and then go and be a ninja? Like,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. So that was the very first thing that bothered me about Boruto.
The thing is, people are watching it
for a while.
Because that's what's getting me is to hit this episode count, you have to have consistent viewership numbers every time for it to be profitable to exist this long.
Mm-hmm.
So people are watching Boruto. They're liking Boruto. I don't understand it. Like, I legitimately just simply do not understand why this is successful when so many things have been cut that never got this chance.
Okay, but so for the anime, like I haven't really watched the anime. I know that it's a substantial amount of filler, but do they even focus on the ninja tools at all in those 180 chapters, or is it just the weird shadows?
You know, I haven't watched it all because I couldn't.
Well, fair enough.
I only have one human lifespan.
The ninja tools is something that I actually really do like. I mean, it's a little bit.
Time to deep dive here, because I'm going to, stop you right here and give ourselves a little bit of flashback to, 3 years ago, me and you. So when Naruto had just come to an end, we had a discussion of what happens next. And this was before 2018, before Boruto started. And I said that one of the coolest things they could do is have Naruto Land be a ninja continent, and then deal with the steampunk United States of America attacking them with cool technology and have science versus ninjas. You agreed that would actually be a good approach, because they did time skip, science was getting better. In the Boruto show, the first movie is like, okay, we have ninja science, and we're going to do some science versus ninjas. And I'm like, I'm on board. You kind of showed like the show was trending in this direction. Okay. But they didn't remember to make scientists. There is nowhere where the science is coming from because the evil alien wizards have it, who would never need science because they're wizards. The science is coming from nowhere.
And that is one thing that I'm a little bit like confused about myself. It's like I thought they were setting it up so that the science was based on the aliens, but now we got past the really interesting plot arcs where they're like, a tool is a tool. It depends on the user. Like tools are not inherently good or bad, and they're talking about the soul of a ninja and how tools can help move progress forward. And now there's just been several chapters where they forgot about technology and they're focusing on the aliens. But like I thought there was going to be some sort of link between the two because like they're so similar powers. Like,
right, but because the original premise is all the ninjas in Naruto come from one alien planting a fruit and then sleeping around. That's where their magic comes from. So these aliens don't need technology because their innate powers are they didn't research how to teleport. That's just a thing they can do. And all the superpowers in this show come from having alien DNA in your body somewhere. Right. So when the Boruto started and like a guy in the Leaf Village, the good guy squad's like, look, I made being a ninja idiot proof. Look at our ninja technology. And like, well, we're going to kick him out for ninja tech, which was some bullshit. Because this is a show where people are using like human puppets and like, technology's never been bad in this show. The argument that technology's cheating because you can just use your magic. Yeah, but everyone's been using tech the entire time. He just had better toys. Naruto, your first thing you did, like your big move, was putting copies of yourselves in scrolls and then throwing knives that were actually you. That's all fair game with the tech. You also use tools.
Well, like I said,
but they came from nowhere, and that's my tilt, is the bad guys have robots, but no scientists.
Oh, their scientists defected in the...
But where did he get the science?
Yeah. Not really explaining that. He's just a super smart guy.
That doesn't matter, because you can't just build a robot if you're worshipping Cthulhu. These two things do not connect. The bad guys would have no reason to even study things. It's kind of like if Superman showed up with a machine gun. What possible reason did he have to build a machine gun? He's already Superman.
Well, this is definitely one of the things that confuses me about it.
I'm so upset.
Well, because it's like the first arc. We're going to skip over the Chunin exam arc because that was whiny, stupid Boruto that was.
Oh, I still can't believe how hard they're following the wrong character in this because Japan's sexist. But I'll get back to that later.
But so skipping over their Chunin exams, and going into the Ninja Tool arc, which I'm going to call it, where they have to escort the professor guy to a lab that's over in some other city or something.
Yeah.
And then they get attacked by a ninja who has robot arms, and he's like, "I don't want to be a ninja anymore because
it's the age of science now."
In the war.
Which was actually dope. Too bad they didn't commit to that in any way.
Well, yeah, I thought that arc was really interesting. It's all about, like I say, tools are not inherently good or evil. It depends on the user.
The thing is, I was completely on board with the concept, but they forgot to give scientists. Like, if you have people who are like, we were ninjas, but we decided to get robotic prosthetics, you need someone to make those prosthetics for a reason.
But what really confuses me is then there's the shadowy organization Kara, ooh, and they're doing something with ninja tech. Ooh.
I was still on board.
And it was all still on board. But then like Kara turned out to be the aliens, and the organization just kind of fell apart before they could even do anything. It's like, we have inners, we have outers, and then it's like, actually, the organization's just completely dismantled, and we're going a completely different direction, and we seem to have forgotten that there was ninja tech at all.
Well, what happened, and I watched this happen in real time, and this happened in the anime viewership numbers too, is no one likes Boruto as a character. He's nothing.
Right.
So, what they needed was they're going to okay, we're going to put in these science villains. And what they're probably thinking was, we want villains that entry-level characters can fight. But you may ask, well, why don't the main characters just kill them all? Oh, they're a secret organization, and they just pop out, and they're after the protagonist's son for whatever reason. So it can make sensible why the Legion of Super Death Ninjas from the last show doesn't just solve this problem. But then they realized that, hey, wait a minute, if we just put Naruto back into Boruto, people will watch it again. So let's put in villains that are stronger than the strongest characters from the last show. So it's like they basically had to pivot to aliens because their characters weren't strong enough to run their show because they focused on the wrong character. So,
oh yeah, who would you have them focus on?
The orphan daughter of the murderous Uchiha clan who wants to be the first Uchiha Hokage, whose bastard father nearly wiped out the world and then ditched her to be raised by her single mom. Who has emotionally powered eyes that give her a superpower but would instantly stigmatize her from everyone because the past 6 people with those eyes nearly killed everyone on Earth, and they saw her eye pattern light up on the moon. Like, she's literally she's the daughter of the devil, who's trying to be the next Hokage, who's raised by a single mother, and it's like, there's a lot of layers there, especially if they committed to it's not even her mom, her dad just dropped him off there, and is actually just related to someone else entirely, but they didn't bring her along because she'd be a liability on their ninja missions. And then Naruto takes on Sasuke's daughter and trains her to be a ninja. Like, there's so much layer there. But you're like, we can't have a woman carry the show. Like, the only good plot arc was when she was trying to figure out if her dad actually just dropped her on a doorstep and she has an unrelated mom and was just raised by poor Sakura. Which would have been a much more fitting ending, that she just raises Sasuke's child and ends up dating a person who stabbed her twice with no interest in her whatsoever. That first kiss was with Naruto.
Okay, so again, going back to one of the other episodes we did about not sticking the landing, somehow Boruto managed to combine 2 of our least favorite endings with the breeder ending, where everyone just pairs up randomly, and it's like Sasuke and Sakura.
I will never not be mad about that.
Pairing.
I will never not be mad about that. Like, that's going to be my last words, is that pairing was bullshit.
And then also, as we've mentioned, because Naruto powers the show about his son, actually, just a little side tangent, in like the first chapter, Boruto's like, this is my story. Well, it's also about my dad too, but it's mostly my story. It's like
just like Justin Trudeau.
Okay, there, the author. Like, anyway.
Yeah.
But then they just like pivot completely into the other terrible arc where it was aliens all along, and like
aliens all along is so bad. All that's missing is some time travel to seal the deal. Well, what is our 4 worst endings? We got Breeder, Nazis, time travel, and aliens. So,
yeah, they're halfway there.
I'm pretty sure Kara's Nazis. Like, that's pretty close.
Well, I mean, they do have some sort of like super soldier now that
has MacGuffin powers.
Has MacGuffin powers, but because we've already seen this cyclical ending,
we know he doesn't matter.
Yeah, we know he doesn't matter. Like, no matter how powerful he is, he just does not matter.
So, the thing about Boruto is I think part of why it's still alive is it feeds on people like me and you who are completionists and will ride or die a series till it ends. Because we...
Well, I mean, I like I said, I read the first chapter, I was like, yeah, no, this seems stupid. Especially seeing as they can't even draw Sasuke properly. Like,
they just drew Cerberus Snape.
All the characters just looked slightly off. After
Not slightly off, substantially off. They were not drawn on model, which drives me nuts because the fan arts communities for these series can do like deep fake levels of accurate artwork. I'm like, could you not find someone who could draw Sakura? You are aware there is thousands upon thousands of pages of fan comics drawn for this character, right? Like, how did you not find someone who could draw this? Like, pick any of the background animators from the show and have them do the manga. Because you know people how to draw that, right? Like, there's guys whose entire job has been to draw Sasuke in filler episodes. The original artist wasn't drawing Sasuke for the screen. Why not get that guy? How did you screw this up?
But so I actually I did not read it until like you kind of passively complaining about Boruto.
Passively?
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna
passively complaining.
See what it's all about.
There's nothing passive about my thoughts on Boruto. I want that clear.
I don't know. Like 2 weeks ago, you were like, I'm spacing on Boruto. Like you had just your brain had given up on the terrible mess that this has become.
Well, what drove me nuts about Boruto was first I had that epiphany that all of Naruto, like Naruto caps at 1,000 episodes, which means Boruto is a third of the way to the length of Naruto.
Ooh.
Which I mean,
Naruto had like 6 months of Tsukiyomi filler arc.
So in original Naruto, we have Naruto becomes a ninja, passes the tuning exams, watches the third Hokage die, trains with Jiraiya, summons a frog, Sasuke gets corrupted by Orochimaru, he fights Gaara in the woods, Sasuke leaves, his friends that he's made over the character arc create a rescue team, they each pair off one-on-one in dramatic fights, fight Sasuke in a river, breaks his neck, has an epic battle with an explosion, Sasuke runs off, Naruto vows to get vengeance, has a time skip. There is no reason they shouldn't have already made it to their fast-forward scene. Because the same show did it already. The same show!
Oh, okay. We haven't even touched on the Jiraiya, actually.
And we're never going to.
Why? No, but why did they resurrect him? What was the narrative point?
Oh, I'll tell you. So he was actually a Jiraiya clone they resurrected. But there's one specific reason they resurrected Jiraiya above all other characters. Mm-hmm. He was the only character that never got resurrected in the zombie war, which means it was the only character they could trick us into thinking was still alive rather than being a clone. It was literally because a character said a throwaway line of, well, we didn't resurrect Jiraiya because he sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Which means they thought for a second they could bait us into thinking a character we cared about was still alive. Because we didn't watch him die enough on screen, even though he was very dead on screen. The only reason they picked that character was it was technically narratively possible for them to be still alive.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because there was no
motivation,
emotional impact or motivation or anything. Like
because Boruto had never met Jiraiya.
And then the Jiraiya clone was just perfectly cool with just murdering anyone that was in his path, even
and then getting killed off screen.
He had some of the memories, or like I don't really.
He got killed over webcam.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Jiraiya got snuff filmed.
So yeah, like I have so many problems with Boruto, and I do not think it can pull its way out of this unless the original author returns, which he's supposed to be because his new series he wrote failed.
Oh, he wrote a new series?
Yeah, it was about alien samurai things.
Oh.
It wasn't very good. Truth be told.
Did it make it into Shonen Jump?
Yeah, I think so. It ran for like 12 issues or something.
Huh.
But it's like he was trying to be like deeper and more philosophical and like being all like, look at me, I'm going to drop astrophysics terms. I'm like, dude. Nah.
In any event, his new series didn't last very long, so he's supposed to be coming back to try and fix.
Yeah, because the best part of Boruto, by far, was the plot arc about if Sakura's daughter was just dropped at a doorstep or not. Which, by the way, would have been such a more compelling lead character, because it's like, okay, this one we feel for, your dad's a deadbeat, you're raised by a single mom who's working 2 jobs, and everyone hates you because your dad is literally just a war criminal that got a pardon for some reason. But with that, I think it's time for us to go to our random question of the week. Unless you have more closing remarks on Boruto.
No, not really. I think we covered all the topics about like how there's no payoff for the ninja tools because it seemed like they were going to be alien tech, but then they just forgot about them. There was no payoff for Jiraiya. They followed the wrong character. They time skipped too far back.
And it's just almost insulting for the things that could have been so much better with that screen time. We could have had a very comfortable Siren anime series in that slot. And I'm not saying Siren was gold, but it was better than Boruto. Alright, so our random question coming in from one of our fans. If you inherited or won $1 million, what is the very first thing you would do with the money? Is it the Amazing Steakhouse? Are we getting the Amazing Steakhouse story? Do it!
I mean, the very first thing, I mean, I would definitely hire a lawyer. That'd be the very first thing I would do. And I know it sounds boring, but with a lawyer, then I would be able to get into like all the laws and regulations that would be required to make the Amazing Steakhouse.
So to follow up with that, the first thing I would do is go down to the bank and be like, so I have $1 million. How do I even handle this? Because, I wouldn't believe I had $1 million. So first thing I'm doing is going to the bank, putting it in savings, and actually proving this money exists. But yes, so after you have that money, the first thing we both agree on is find a trained professional to protect our money. Make sure it exists, make sure it's legal, and lock it somewhere. So now that you have your money, I'm going to rephrase the question for just to kind of spite our listener. What is the most interesting thing you would do with $1 million?
Well, I mean, it sounds a little bit biased the way that you just asked it, but we have discussed this before, and I've always been disappointed in the lack of like genuine labyrinths.
I'm smiling so much at this story. But continue.
There's actually a website you can go on to find labyrinths in your area. Anyways, the website you can go on to find labyrinths. And I looked at it, and there's a bunch of quote-unquote labyrinths in Saskatchewan. But one of them is just like this Zen rock maze, where it's just like rocks in a maze pattern, and you're supposed to walk through there and meditate while you're walking through this maze. One of them is just a maze painted in the floor of someone's house. One of them is a corn maze, which is like, I mean, it's more like a yearly attraction.
I mean, corn is also called maze, cool. So.
Don't get me wrong, corn mazes are cool, but like, needs more minotaurs.
Yeah, 100% agree.
But so I've had this idea to make a genuine labyrinth, and you know, like a garage door where it's like in slats.
Yes.
When you make the slats smaller, you can actually like roll it up pretty tightly. And so if you have posts every 5 feet or so, you can create walls every 5 feet. So you have a little 5 by 5 foot sections, and you could create a maze that you would be able to do any design that you would like in the maze, and then you have this maze, and you get people to go through the maze, and if they get to the end within a certain time frame, they get a voucher for the steakhouse that's on the top of the building.
The Amazing Steakhouse.
The Amazing Steakhouse.
I just love that story so much.
That is what I would want to do with $1 million. That's the most interesting thing. Obviously, I'd do boring things too, like buy a house and pay off debt. And
I would never buy a house. I refuse to buy a house.
Oh?
So, to answer what I would do that'd be interesting with $1 million. So first,
most interesting.
So, other than the set aside half of it for expenses, schooling, housing, whatever. Probably buy a condo, but I enjoy having people do the maintenance and things for me. I refuse to be liable for my property. But when I get to the interesting thing, I've always wanted to be creative, kickstarting Dragon's Den and have the power to do that myself. So I buy myself a fine ebony desk with flames on it. I rent out for a day, or maybe I'm in this condo I bought for it, and I have people come up, and I have them explain to me why I should invest in their idea. I have them give me a pitch. And then, if I agree, I finance whatever creative endeavor. So I can finance your Labyrinth because it's amazing. I can finance someone making an animated series because it's amazing. But this is if I have like millions and millions of dollars. But for just a million, honestly and tragically, the most interesting thing I'm doing is getting a very reasonable, clean penthouse apartment paid off in full so I don't have to worry about monthly fees and I'm just kind of good. And then building just a gorgeous D&D room. I'm dropping 200 grand on tables, miniatures, figurines, a painting station. I'm going to have a 3D printer in the corner because if I need to ad-lib a Jabberwocky in the middle of the fight, I'm just printing and painting a Jabberwocky while everyone takes a time break and dropping it on the table. And it's going to be amazing. And with that, a free digital deluxe edition of the Waltz of Blades will go to that beautiful question submission. And feel free to submit your own questions to Deep Space and Dragons via Raj Kivas on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, email. Stand outside with a sign that says, "This is my question," for your chance to win. Richard Arthur John Kivas. Raj, what do you want from me? More names? I can't have any more names. I'm full.
I just think it's funny. It's obviously your profile picture lets people know that you're not of East Indian descent, but when you look at Raj Kivas, it's like that's just not the first thing you think of.
I mean, interestingly enough,
Kivas is like Go ahead.
So I've been rewatching original Dragon Ball, which has some deeply problematic stuff in it. But there is a scene
Yep.
where Nom, the Middle Eastern fighter trying to earn money from his village, just dresses up as Master Roshi and passes off for it. And I'm like, that was surprisingly woke for the time.
Just puts on the sunglasses.
And the beard.
The beard.
Right? So, maybe race is just a spectrum. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And have yourself a lovely day. And don't read Boruto.
Tune in for our podcast. And also, don't give Boruto the satisfaction of reading it after we just put that thought in your mind.
No, instead, read Siren. Take care, bye.
Bye.
Instead of Boruto, just read something better. We got a list. Read One Punch Man.
I keep saying podcast, and I mean stream.
Right? Oh well, I'm
Twitch
sure
stream.
they'll figure it out.